Redditors with interesting hobbies, what do you do and why? Chemistry. I have a full-on laboratory in my basement. I'm not talking about a science kit. I have over $30,000 invested in it. I used to run an online chemical store from my home. No, I don't make drugs. 30,000 invested in laboratory. Not making drugs. Bruh. I just learned that I really enjoy restoring old hand tools. There's a few subs that focus on stuff like this, but those dudes are pretty hardcore and are light years ahead of me. I just started. Restored a double bit axe, but I didn't seat it on the handle correctly. I've got a few hand planes and a drawn knife next on the list. Gotta finish up that axe, though. I collect currency from different countries that aren't in circulation anymore. If the 10 million Turkish lira comes back, I will be a millionaire in the US. I smuggled 2 East German coins out of East Berlin, in my shoes, in 1976. I was terrified, but I have 2 East German coins. I build log furniture as a hobby. Feels really nice to take deadfall and turn it into something that can be enjoyed. Aviculture. Care and keeping of birds. Why? Because it's fun. I enjoy them. And they are sweethearts. Currently have 11 due to breeding. However, I won't be keeping the entire clutch. I am going to hold back one female if the one I think is a girl actually is. She's the only one that's in the mutation I want to breed one of my other birds with, and he is definitely a male. Beekeeping. It's fascinating to learn more and more about the complex life the bees have. Also, it is incredibly rewarding to eat honey that was made by your bees with the flowers and trees in your own garden. I like magnet fishing. It's taking a strong magnet and putting it in canals, lakes or any water bodies and pulling metallic objects out. People find all kinds of cool stuff like guns, old coins, metal safes, swords, and it helps clean the water bodies as well. I've never done this but have done something similar. I once tied a hook to hundreds of yards of fishing line and flushed it down the toilet. And flushed and flushed and flushed. Hoped I would catch something cool like a ring when I pulled the line back in. It was poop. I caught poop. I grow carnivorous plants. They are super interesting, and they get rid of flies. Has one ever bit you? No, and you shouldn't play with the fly trap's bite. It requires a lot of energy to close and can harm the plant. I restore and operate vintage railroad equipment including steam locomotives. Shoveling 5 tons of coal a day is a real kick in the ass, but I've been crazy about steam since I was a little boy, and it's neat to get to keep these skills alive 60 plus years after the technology died out. Archaeological geophysics to find Roman roads. I managed to find a previously unknown Roman small town. I make books from scratch. I make my own covers, cut all the papers for the inside pages, and sew them together by hand. I build electric skateboards. Want something that goes 40 miles per hour around town and can do it for 20-30 miles? I'm your guy. It takes a lot of research, time, and money, but it's worth it when you ride on your death machine that you made yourself. I blacksmith as a hobby. Cause I'd like to make it my profession. I carve wood specificity for the slivers left over after carving. I dye the slivers and make them into flowers. I also dye and paint. Acrylic, watercolor, anything really. Paper to make flowers. I really like making flowers in unusual ways. I collect high school and college yearbooks. I have over 400 of them, going back to the 1890s. They are a microcosm of an era and a specific location, and are fascinating. I guess mine is a little tame comparatively, but I make ice creams, sorbets, and gelatos from scratch, including inventing my own recipes. I make a different flavor every week, and have done about 100 by now. It wins me many friends at the office. I knit blankets and hats for babies in hospital. I was in hospital 2 years ago, and there was a very kind lady who saw how much pain I was in, and always tried to distract me. She told me that's what she does when she's bored. I never got to say goodbye, or thank you to her before I moved to another ward. This is my way of paying it forward. I sing Gregorian chant. It takes daily practice and much concentration to sing chant stylistically and musically correct, with proper intonation, but its beauty and transcendental qualities are rewarding. With my limited physical ability, I think my sunflower garden with a 9 feet 9 inches tall plant is interesting. I'm a male knitter. I took it up in honor of a very good friend who died suddenly on the eve of her 31st birthday because of an aortic aneurysm. She would spend all year knitting scarves and hats for the homeless and needy to give out at Christmas. I inherited all her knitting stuff and kept up the tradition in her honor. I do cross stitching and sew my own plushies, amongst other granny type crafts. My mom taught me to sew when I was young, and now that I have kids I've moved from mostly clothes to making things like stuffed bob-ombs and banthas. Cross stitching is wonderfully relaxing and tedious all at the same time. Perfect for my temperament. My little brother farms mealworms and cockroaches, very successfully, sells them for a profit, and feeds them to his geckos. Also he builds terrariums full of mosses, and centipedes, etc. Dirt. I like making compost for my garden. It's endlessly fascinating to watch plant matter decay over months and years, and there's endless combinations and methods. Also growing plants for carbon sequestration, since that is a hot topic lately. I build stone walls on my property here in Vermont. Weekends are spent walking deep into the forest which surrounds me and search for rocks to pry out of the earth. I try to find the largest which I can safely carry and give them a bear hug and carry them back to the wall in process. There's something incredibly satisfying building with stone, no mortar, and finding that perfect fit as though that rock has been waiting for thousands of years for this purpose. Sometimes the fit is so good that I start back in amazement and look around as though to ask, "Did you see that?" Apnea training and free diving. Just learning about the body's cardiopulmonary system and how you can make it adapt to surviving 5-7 minute underwater has been amazing. And there's nothing quite as peaceful as being underwater and feeling no urgency to move quickly or return to the surface. The ocean animals are also a lot more relaxed when you have that calmness and aren't exhaling bubbles like a scuba diver. High school teacher and musician. I built a little project studio a few years ago in my basement. I've now helped a few young rock and roll bands get demos recorded to get them gigs. Some of the players have been astounding, all have been appreciative, and it is a great way to see what kids are up to outside of school. Turns out I really like producing music that isn't mine. I'm a fire juggler and I'm learning to throw knives. At my college, we have to take what is known as wellness classes. Basically you can do anything from talking about your feelings to learning underwater basket weaving and parkour. My roommates asked me if I wanted to take the juggling course, and now after a few years of practice all three of us can juggle fire. One of my favorite hobbies is writing letters. I have pen pals all over the world, and I love reading their stories and learning about their cultures while also sharing my own. It's a great way to get to know about places you may either not have known about before, or had some misconceptions about thanks to the media. I love slowing down to concentrate on a person and respond to their letter, making my own envelopes and decorating them, choosing pieces to go into them with the stationery, and hopefully giving them something to smile about when the letter arrives in their mailbox. It's a lot of fun, and it can be very rewarding too. My more unusual hobby is collecting paper maps. I have every US state and Canadian province, plus most major cities, and since I'm in Florida I have every city or county in this state. I started this many years ago, and I'm glad I did. I got most of my maps free from either state highway departments or through my AAA membership. Unfortunately anymore most state highway departments quit publishing their own maps, and AAA selection is very sparse now. But there's nothing like correctly folding a paper map and being able to use them either to study the place or navigate if you do use them. GPS is fine, but I like paper maps better. That's all for today's video. Hope you guys liked it. If you liked the video, subscribe. If you want to support the channel, the best thing you can do is simply watch the videos. But if you really want to see the channel thrive, subscribe, like, comment, add to favorites, add to playlist, and share with friends. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Reddit and Insta. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you with tomorrow's upload.